CataractCoach.com. The Light Adjustable Lens haptic breaks the capsular bag. Now, what are you going to do? All right, watch carefully. Routine cataract case here. Here comes the lens. Look carefully. There's the leading haptic. Delivering it nice and slowly. Experienced surgeon here. There it is. It just broke the bag. Look how deep that one haptic looks. Now, it happened so quickly that you really have a hard time noticing. And now the rest looks okay. So there are some wrinkles back there. Now let's speed the video up so we can get through it a little faster. Surgeon goes behind the optic, removes viscoelastic, tries to center the lens, and that's your first sign now that the lens doesn't want to center. Well, why is that? And it looks a little deep. Why is the lens so deep inside the eye? So that's a smart move. Just use that IA probe, bring that haptic up. Last thing you want is this lens to go posterior. And now evaluate. This is a tough situation now. What would you do? Stop and think. What's your next move? Well, I like this idea. Put viscoelastic in, go to position 0 on the foot pedal, take the probe out of the eye. Buy you some time to think about what you're going to do. Now, you saw the video. You can rewind it if you'd like. But as the leading haptic went on the bag, that leading haptic was relatively sharp, and it scraped the posterior capsule and ripped the bag wide open. Now, you got to go to Rexus, so this is a 3-piece lens. That's good. You can probably do an optic capture here. Get the haptics and the sulcus and the optic through the Rexus. And so bringing that lens up is great. You don't want this thing to fall back. I agree. I'd put the whole lens on top of the iris right now. You can bring that lens up and now decide, well, is there vitreous prolapse? That's your big question now. If there is vitreous prolapse, well, then you need to do something about it. Hey, did I tell you about CataractCoach.com, our teaching website? Yes, so much great material. You can see all ruptured globe cases if you want. You can see all ruptured capsule cases if you want. You can see any kind of case you want. It's all there, 2,200 plus videos. Just use the search engine on CataractCoach.com. Now, you saw the surgeon made an extra paracentesis there. And now going in, let's see, sealing up the main incision. So I think the decision is made to do an anterior vitrectomy. You can see there's that IOL optic is slightly descentered. The pupil is a little bit peaked towards the incision, so there may be some vitreous prolapsing through the incision. So triamcinolone could help here as well. So surgeon's going to first do a little, there you go, infusion in the right hand, cutter in the left. Go inside there, get some infusion going. And definitely need to do an anterior vitrectomy here. Now, if you're doing just pure topical, you may have to augment your anesthesia here. So let's see, getting that inside the eye, beautiful. Don't do too high on the infusion pressure either because you don't have the best lens stability just yet. At least you're not sure of it. And so now here comes the vitrectomy to clean up the prolapse vitreous. Be very cautious not to go near the iris here because you can easily damage the iris. So doing some vitrectomy here, again, triamcinolone will help stain that vitreous. And the nice part here, of course, with a light adjustable lens, you can change the IOL power later, so you don't have to change the IOL power now. You can just put in your existing, the lens you thought, even if you put the whole lens in the sulcus, you don't have to adjust for sulcus power because you just do it a different adjustment later. That's kind of helpful. But in this situation, I think if you can get an optic capture, that's going to be the best of both worlds. Now you see, as the vitreous was removed, especially behind the optic, look at that. That looks much cleaner. Much, much cleaner. Look how round the pupil is now. So pupil's back down to normal, cleaning up very nicely here. And once this vitrectomy is done, I think the patient will have a very nice outcome. Again, I'd put some triamcinolone to stain to make sure there's no more prolapse of vitreous in the anterior segment. You can see there's that open posterior capsule. The lens has good stability with the haptics and the sulcus. Not quite sure if there was a full optic capture done, but that certainly can be done because the Rexus looked beautiful. And now checking the incisions here. Up little, see that little peaking of the pupil there? That means there's a little strand of vitreous still coming towards the incision. So you want to fix that. Do a little more anterior vitrectomy and clean that up quite nicely here. Now, we've played the video 2 times normal speed, so keep in mind, doing an anterior vitrectomy is going to really slow down your case. That's to be expected here. Now, surgeon just checking the incision again, making sure there's no more vitreous that's prolapsed. And if there is, you can certainly use the vitrector again to do that. So really got to make sure it's absolutely watertight here. I'd even encourage surgeons, or especially our younger ones, put a 10-0 nylon suture in the main incision, close it up, just to ensure that there's no leakage from the main incision in the post-op period. If there is a leakage from the main incision, you make it shallow in the anterior chamber, and therefore you make it further vitreous prolapse. So here, going in again with the vitrectomy, again, bimanual, looks like 23 gauge, and this is very effective. Now, you could have also done a pars plana incision. You could have put the vitrectomy in the pars plana and the infusion in the anterior chamber. Again, either is fine. You can do limbal or pars plana based for the anterior vitrectomy, whatever your comfort zone is. And again, I'd certainly encourage you to use triamcinolone or Kenalog to stain the vitreous. The preservative-free Triessence, which you can get preservative-free from the manufacturer, is a little bit hard to get these days. I'm not even sure if it's made anymore. And so I have videos on CataractCoach where you can learn how to process your own regular triamcinolone and get more than 90% of the preservatives out of it. And here at the end of the case, it looks pretty good. So keep in mind, I think any three-piece lens, as you're injecting it, you really have to watch those haptics carefully. We're so used to doing these single-piece acrylic lenses that have these very forgiving and soft haptics. And think about it. We use these three-piece lenses that have rigid haptics, often made of material like PMMA, polymethyl methacrylate, which is kind of hard. And if the edges are sharp on that tip, it can go right through the capsule. Nice case. Thanks for sharing. And remember, check out our teaching website and our weekly podcast. Every week, a brand new podcast. I promise you'll learn so much from it.